Hi guys, welcome to day 31. Today is our very last day of our month-long August mindfulness challenge, and it feels good to be at the end. Thank you to everybody, first of all, that participated. Thank you to everybody that's watched the videos, that's commented, that's sent me messages. It's been a really wonderful experience for myself because I've never done anything like this before. So I just want to acknowledge everybody that had a part in it. Thank you. I certainly learned a lot along the way myself. So I just want to kind of recap a little bit, and then I'll talk about what today's final activity is. Um, so just to recap why we did this, why did we challenge ourselves for a full month around mindfulness? Well, we talked about the fact that being more present and being mindful in our everyday lives can help us reduce anxiety, reduce levels of stress, to help us to have more fulfilling relationships with the people around us. And most importantly, it helps us live in the present moment instead of the opposite of that, which we tend to do. We live our lives either thinking about the past by living in our memories or thinking about something that hasn't happened yet. So living in the future. And mindfulness allows us to come into the present moment and really experience what's actually happening. And it can lead to a much more fulfilling life. So throughout the month, I tried to pepper the whole month with different activities that you probably already do on a regular basis, but thinking about how we can do them more mindfully. So we did that through our interactions with other people. So being more cognizant about how we present ourselves to other people, putting our cell phones down, really looking at people in the face when we're speaking to them, listening to them when they're talking to us, being aware when we're driving. So, putting the cell phone down, being aware of what's around us when we're driving instead of being lost in thought, which of course leads to more safe driving. We also talked about the idea of being in touch with our senses. So when we're doing anything or when we're trying to come into the present moment, to really become anchored on things like, first of all, our breath. So focusing on your breathing, focusing literally on what you see around you. What are the things that you see? What are the things that you hear and feel and touch and taste and smell? And so focusing on our senses can bring us into the present moment, as opposed to being carried away again in the past or the future. We also talked about the importance of having more purposeful self-care routines. So we did things like, preparing our lunch for work the night before, or being more purposeful in how we develop our meals and the things that we eat, and even the way that we do things. So eating more mindfully, walking more mindfully, getting ourselves dressed in the morning to go to work in a more mindful manner. And each of these things can help us get more in touch with ourselves and the people around us. So it's my hope that you kind of got what I was going for with this challenge, and that none of the activities were anything, way out of people's comfort zones. And mostly they're things that you're already doing. It's just doing them in a slightly different way, again, with more purpose, again, being more mindful and thinking about and experiencing perhaps how that can benefit you more. We also talked a little bit about some basic forms of meditation. Again, as I've said several times, I'm very fond of using meditation on a daily basis as a tool to reduce stress, to reduce anxiety. It has done wonderful things for me, but I only talked about a few types of meditation. Again, I would like to strongly suggest, if you're interested in meditation, there are a ton of resources and books available. And if you're interested, I can certainly pass along some that were meaningful to me. So So we talked about meditation, and then we also talked about the importance of things like exercise and moving your body and doing all of those things in a mindful way. So all of that together hopefully gave you little experiences and little things that you can think about moving forward, things that you can do every day. Again, it's not that you have to wake up every day and think, oh, what mindful thing am I going to do today? We did that very purposefully this month as a way to push you past your comfort zone and to get you thinking about it. But I know that each of you can look back on the things that we did this month and can see the things that were useful. You can see the things that were powerful when you did them. You can see the things that made a difference in your day when you did them. Even if it was because you were looking forward to sharing with somebody else what you did and talking about your experience. So there's no reason that you can't continue to do those things on a regular basis. But just like anything else, you have to make the time, and you have to really prioritize making sure that you're you're fitting it into your life. So being mindful doesn't take any more time. It just takes the act of doing it, and it takes the act of the training and the practice. And so that's why out of any practice that we talked about, meditation to me can be the most transforming because it is practice. You're practicing literally how to be mindful so that when you do find yourself in the car driving after a stressful day and the kids are screaming and you've got some place to be and there's a pothole, that you've practiced how to come into the present moment and to be mindful. So that's what the point of the meditation practice is. And that's the point of going through each of these things. All of it is practice. It's practice for everyday life. It's practice so that when you're doing whatever it is you're doing, it becomes second nature to you. So that when you're interacting with another person, you don't have to think, oh, let me be more mindful. And let me pay attention. It becomes just part of who you are, and it becomes part of the way that you interact with other people. So for our very last activity, I chose the most mundane thing that I could think of, excuse me, as our very last activity, because in my opinion, the most mundane activity can be the most mindful because it's all about the way we approach it. So I wrote on our calendar for today that we would fold our laundry and put it away. Now, I get it. You may not have laundry to do today, and I don't want you to go out of your way to do laundry. But to me personally, doing laundry and folding it and putting it away is not the most stimulating activity, but maybe it is for you. Maybe you love doing it and it helps you relax. I want you to choose a completely mundane activity to do today. It can be 2 minutes long, it can be an hour, whatever you want. Maybe it's cleaning the bathroom, maybe it's emptying your dishwasher, maybe it's running down to the end of the street to get your mail from the mailbox. Whatever it is, I want you to think about that mundane activity and think about what you did this month. Think about mindfulness. Think about the practice that you did, and can you do it while you're doing that mundane activity? And if so, what does that mean to you? And what does that bring everything full circle for you? So this is kind of like your test. There's no test, but it's kind of like your graduation at the end of this mindfulness challenge. Choosing just a mundane thing, maybe even something that you often consider to be not very pleasant. But you can be mindful and live in the present moment doing absolutely anything. So if you're struggling with how in the world do I get through this, then just go back to your basics of what do you see, what do you hear, what do you feel, what do you smell. Get in touch with your senses and just let it take you through and see where that takes you. So that ends our challenge. As I mentioned a few days ago, take a look in the Facebook group because I've left a poll for some questions, just to ask you guys what you'd like to see more of on my channel moving forward. I've given a couple choices, and if you have other suggestions of things you'd like to hear about or to talk about, or even challenges like this in the future, maybe a different type of challenge, I would love to hear your feedback so that I can give you some content that you're interested in. So again, it's been a real pleasure, and I'll talk to you soon.